17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PSGL here for round number 6 of the Formula 6 Championship. We are here for the Suzuka International Circuit. We are here from Japan. My name is Everybody Mike, going to be taking you through the action. And joining me in the commentary box is the one, is the only, is of course RDR Quinn. Quinn, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. Of course, we're here in Suzuka at Japan, and it's going to be a fairly interesting race. Of course, it's the only race on the F1 calendar that features a figure of 8. So, in that sense, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, the only track on the calendar with a figure of 8 on it. And honestly, this track in the past, and honestly, I think it's gotten easier over the years, but it has been a track that has really challenged drivers out there. I mean, the S's in the first sector as you climb up the hill towards Dunlop Curve, those curbs are lethal if you take too much of them.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there, and there's only really one line that you can take through the S's in the first sector, so it's very tricky to hook it up right, but if you do, you're just going to reap the rewards from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, coming into tonight, I mean, last week we saw Aguado take victory out on track. Obviously, I'm on board with him right now. He is the furthest man along on his outlap. He took victory last time out, and he took victory by 0.3 of a second. Now, that to me is incredible to have it so tight around Austria. Aguado taking victory, and in such a tight fashion. Obviously, Tactician coming second. Definitely throws things up in terms of the championship standings. But we'll take you on a lap now of Suzuka. So coming through the Casio Triangle, and we are going to get underway here with Aguado, who's going to take us on a lap of the Suzuka International Racing Course as we run down in towards turn number 1. DRS wide open as we approach turn number 1. All about hooking it up now for turn number 2. Getting nice rotation through there. Traction going well for Aguado. Now into the meat part of the first sector. Of course, the S is doing well to not hit too many of those curves, because they can chew you up and spit you back out. Coming up for the hill now, the left-hander of Dunlop Curve, as he keeps his foot in as we run to the first Degner, then of course into the second. Degner's underneath the bridge, as you mentioned earlier, the only figure of 8 circuit on the calendar. To the hairpin we go, and it's going to be third gear, the gear of choice there for the Williams driver. Good traction on the exit as we run now towards Spoon Curve, where we've seen so many incidents in the past. Who could forget the incident between Verstappen and Vettel, as Vettel got tagged around, and hopefully we won't be seeing any of that tonight. But Aguado navigates Spoon absolutely lovely as we approach now 130R middle sector split of a 10.4 through 130R now, keeping your foot in as you head towards the final braking zone at the Casio Triangle. Taking a decent amount of the inside curve, really opens up the second part of the chicane, and Aguado gets through there lovely, keeping it tight to the line, and to the line he'll come, and it's going to be a 26.9 to get us underway here.
Yeah, it's a very, very solid lap there from Aguado, and I was thinking to myself what the pole lap time would be, and I was saying a mid-26, as Miguel actually goes faster than Aguado. Yeah, I was saying a mid-26, and we're not too far. Well, we're not too far off that now.
Well,
while
as you say
Campora
that.
just gets a mid 26. So it could be looking at a low 26 now. And yeah, you just got to look at that lap from Campora, compare it to Aguado, and there's definitely time to find there from the championship leader.
Yeah, as we got Owen coming through the final corner now. Obviously, Owen has had two back-to-back pole positions in recent times, and he puts on provisional pole straight away by 9 thousandths of a second. ET8 Owen now, so he is a part of a brand new team, so it could go in there from Owen, but he's continuing his fine run in qualifying, putting in provisional pole right now, and of course he was a pole for the last two races, so definitely showing that he has the pace over one lap as Fleddy improves and gets himself onto provisional pole there, 6 thousandths of a second ahead of Owen.
Yeah, 15 hundredths of a sec, 15 thousandths of a second separating the top three currently. So if it can stay like that, that's great for us. For the drivers, it's going to be one stressful day.
Yeah, and of course we're in round number 6, so we're getting to we're in the mid part of the season now. And we're starting to see the drivers who we anticipate being up there race after race. Obviously, Freddie being one of them, Miguel being up there, Aguado definitely being one up there. Obviously, King being another one that's been up there quite consistently. Fleddy has had good races and he's had bad races. Do you think this could be a turning point now for Fleddy's season?
If he's gonna turn it around, it has to be from here, really. So, my personal opinion, I think it will be. I think he'll really get himself together for this race. As I'm just watching Cool 31, who I haven't seen before, unless it's someone who's changed the name, puts himself P10, only just over a tenth ahead of Tactician. And that's something I wanted to bring up. Tactician, he hasn't really been an amazing qualifier, but as we saw in the last race at Austria, he can get it done in the race. So, not a particular attribute that you want to have in this sense, but he's definitely made it work, at least in the last race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tactician was able to avoid all troubles and able to come on with a fantastic P2. Of course, a season best for Tactician, as generally his results over the past couple of races, I've seen him 10th, 7th, 9th, 6th, and of course last time out getting the podium. That could also be the turning point for Tactician. Maybe that one big result able to shift the momentum for him in the second half of the season.
Yeah, definitely can be. I'm just looking at Aiden. He goes into P4. I'm not sure if he's chosen a wrong car or something, but he's in a Red Bull this week.
Yeah, Aiden is normally in the McLaren, if I remember correctly. So I think,
He is.
I think what's happened, because I did see it pop up late in the session. I think he's joined and the game has just chucked him in the Red Bull.
Yeah, I was just looking. I was just on board with Luke and Nick, and he just invalidated going through too far on the exit of Degner 1, so he's invalidated his lap. Believe King is just coming up to the third sector, going through 130R through the Casio triangle, cuts the first part, little cut on the second, and then the exit. You want to hug the inside wall here to get a shorter line as possible. P4 for King, so a good lap, only 1.5 tenths off Fleddy.
Yeah, good lap from him. Stretch out there on a flying lap as well. Obviously, Luke and Nick, as you mentioned, invalidating on his run. We was on board and saw the invalidation as we head to Spoon Curve now with Luke and Nick. And we're going to be seeing how the Haas man can get himself up there. If he can get himself up there, obviously, a 26.6, a mighty gauntlet has been laid down from both Ferraris and, of course, Fleddy early on in the session. It's a 10.3 in the middle sector from Stretch. This is thereabouts with Aguado's sector times at the moment, about a tenth quicker as we come through the Casio triangle around the final corner. What is Stretch going to do as he approaches the line? And it is just ahead of Aguado.
Yeah, through the second part of the Casio Triangle, it didn't take as much inside curb as other people, so that's where he lost a little bit of time. But overall, it's a good lap from stretch to put himself P7.
Yep, on board well with Campara as he goes through turn 2, takes a little bit of the inside curve, gets a little bit out of shape, and I think that's his lap over and done with immediately, just through turn 2.
Yeah, I'm on board with Aguada now as he makes his way through Spoon Curve. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him with a Red Bull, and I think that is... I'm not sure what other car. I think that's Soapbox, who's ahead of him as well. So as he's going through the Casio Triangle here, very clean and tidy there. Will it be a big improvement from him? 1.5 tenths, and he moves him up into P6.
Yeah, P6 for Aguado. I was coming on board with Lifeboat. First sector, 3 tenths up. So Lifeboat absolutely on a flyer. If he can maintain this throughout the rest of the lap. Also, we're coming up to the middle sector split now. It's looked very smooth. One small little bit of a snap on the car, but he shouldn't have lost too much time. And he's 4 tenths up. He's 4 tenths up. This is going to be a 0.5 as long as he can get through the Casio Triangle with absolutely no issues whatsoever. And he takes a decent amount of curb on through the Casio Triangle, but to the line he'll come now. What's it going to be for Lifeboat? It's a 26.5.
Yeah, very close to a 26.4. And I'm not sure how much we've got left of the session because 6.5 minutes left, roughly. So put down a big benchmark, but then Daniel puts in a 26.4, over a tenth faster than Lifeboat, so he's really put down the marker now.
Daniel there, the 26.4, absolutely flying out there, the man in the Mercedes. And of course, Daniel, currently this season, obviously he wasn't here for the last 2 races. He crashed out in Silverstone, and he finished 16th in Brazil and got a P6 in Bahrain. So it's not been a great season so far from Daniel, but he's doing all the things that you need to do right now in qualifying. Peter Vole to the line now. What's he going to do in the Aston Martin? He's up in the P6, a 3/10th improvement with a 26.7 for the Aston Martin, man.
Yeah, on board with Tactician now as he's improving by nearly 3 tenths. Missed the apex a little bit there, the second part of the Casio Triangle up to the line. It is an improvement, but only P14 for himself.
And he might be knocked straight back down. Clue was 3 tenths up in the middle sector as he comes across the line now. And yeah, he does knock him back down and retakes that P14 away from Tactician. Lukenlick invalidated once again, so it's not going well for Lukenlick. And of course, Lukenlick with a fantastic podium in Silverstone for round 3, but he hasn't been here for the past 2 races and he crashed out in Bahrain. It's going to be interesting because we've had a couple of drivers who have missed a few races that do have the pace to be up there, and it's going to throw a spanner in the works. I mean, Aguado right now leading the way in the Drivers' Championship. We will go through that in a moment. Soapbox, he is well down on his time in the middle sector, so we'll come back and jump on board with someone else. Aiden into the pits, Peter Vole on a cool-down lap. Fleddy is going to be returning to the pits as well. So I believe Tactician and Cool will also be heading into the pits. King out there on the outlap, and honestly, King currently sitting P2 in the championship. Podium in round 1. He got a race win in round 2. P10 in round 3. Second place round 4 and a P7 in round 5. So he's shown to have good performances so far. Maybe been a bit unlucky in 2 of those races, but definitely one to keep an eye on as we go through this lap with him right now through the S's. He goes maximum commitment, getting the car rotated absolutely lovely there as we climb up the hill through Dunlop Curve. Now to the first sector split, and we're going to see if King's going to be up on this time. He's marginally up, but through the Deckners he comes, and it's a little bit deep into the second Deckner, but he has managed to get the car rotated, so he wouldn't have scrubbed off that much, and in fact, yes, he has. He's backed out immediately.
Yeah, it was looking good for him, but looking at how much fuel he's got left, I think it says 1.2 laps of fuel left. So it's going to be very tight if he can do another lap.
I mean, unfortunately, I need a pair of glasses because I can't quite see that. But
I think it does say 1.2.
But King doing a good job.
1.5.
Doing a good job in saving his fuel back up. Obviously, we got just under 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the session. So King can go again, but this will be his final chance. And yeah, he is going again. So we'll stay on board with King for this lap as he takes us around the 3.6 mile, the 5.8 kilometer circuit. As of course the Suzuka International Racing course through turns 1 and 2, avoiding getting too greedy on the curves. Now into the S's, and it is important to really get the car turned in through these corners, but much more important to make sure that you don't lose the back end getting on the throttle coming up through Dunlop curve, as King has done a great job in avoiding that. And look at that, he's miles up on his previous lap, almost 2 tenths. Obviously a tenth, I mean it's over 1.5 tenths as we head into the hairpin, and King is still improving. Obviously yellow flags are out as drivers are backing up to try and get a little bit of heat into their tyres, get out of the way of the drivers on a quick lap as we head into the Spoon curve now with King, and that's a wide entry, but he has managed to keep it all valid. Is he still going to be up on his time? Because that was a bit of a squirrely middle sector from the Alpine man, the guy in P2 in the championship. Is he still up? He's still up by just over a tenth of a second, so he has lost time in that middle sector as he approaches the Casio Triangle now. It's all about, big snap at the rear there for King, and yet that is his session over and done with. He is not going to be happy with that big lockup coming into the Casio Triangle, and that is King completely out of it. As Aguado, it doesn't look like Aguado has managed to find time as well. I think he's going to bail out into the pits. Yes, he will. Aiden coming through Dunlop curve. We got Stretch on a lap. Stretch coming into the hairpin, so we'll stay on board with Stretch. In fact, Luke and Nick is also on a lap, but he's coming through the S's, coming up Dunlop curve now. But we're on board with Stretch. Stretch, the man in P11, going to be running down towards Spoon curve.
Yes. He's looking really tidy through here. Is Stretch and a little bit wide, very wide on the exit there. That's going to lose him so much time, and I think this is going to be his qualifying lap over.
He's marginally up. He's just going to lose time all the way down to the Casio Triangle. So unless he can gain quite a lot through this final chicane, he is going to be marginally down on his time, but he's had a good Casio Triangle, so to the line will come Stretch. This is an improvement. It is an improvement, but not massive improvements from him.
Yeah, it's just
Aiden up in the P3.
Yeah, very good lap there from Aiden. Owen is slowing right down to let everyone through, and he's got his teammate coming through. Believe it may be Yanil who's going to be next. He did get on a curb there on the outside of the Spoon curve, but it stays valid. I have to check what his sector split is for sector 2. Is he up on his time? He is nearly 4 tenths up. Could see him jump all the way up. The order is getting to the Casio Triangle. Clean and tidy, takes more of the curb on the second part. To the line he goes. 4 tenths up into P5 for Yano.
Yep, on board now with Peter Volt up in the P3. We got Camparo who's going to be bailing out into the pits now. Owen wasn't able to get a lap time. Fleddy is around. Lifeboat is out there on the lap. We got Daniel marginally up in the middle sector. What can Daniel do? Is he going to be able to get this done? Through the Casio Triangle, he'll go. To the line now for the Mercedes. This is going to be an improved lap time. Are we going to see a 0.3 or a 0.2? It's a 0.2 from Daniel in the Mercedes. To 1:26.2, securing pole position, because it looks like Lifeboat
is invalidated. Yeah,
Lifeboat completely off it, and obviously Fleddy having that spin as well. He has dropped well down down in terms of time, but in the end, Daniel, with a fantastic performance, takes pole position here in Suzuka.
Yes, very, very good lap there from Daniel, and seems like he's got the pace on everyone here in Suzuka, so let's hope that that can translate into the race pace.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll bring you through the qualifying results once again. It is Daniel who takes pole position ahead of Lifeboat, who will join him on the front row. Peter Vol in P3 with Aidan in P4. Fleddy in P5 with Janel in P6. Owen in P7. Camparo in P8. And all Ferrari 4th row right there. As P9 will be King and Aguado, the championship leader, rounding out the top 10. Outside the top 10, we have Miguel in 11th, Soapbox in 12th, Stretch in 13th, Clue in 14th, Nick in 15th, and Tactician in 16th, and Thomas coming in the McLaren. He's in the session. I believe he might be a reserve. I'm not entirely sure.
I think he is a reserve. I caught him joining the session, but I didn't want to say anything just in case he was a reserve. But it looks like he is. He hasn't left yet, so it's not just a random person joining, hopefully.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, one thing that we want to do is, of course, shout out our sponsors at GT Omega. Make sure if you are visiting the site at the checkout, use code PSGL. As we wait for wait to see the tyre compounds that everyone selected. This is going to be interesting now in terms of the tyre strategy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the strategies people come up with here. And just seeing that NLR Liam has actually moved down. But yeah, 5 red lights.
Yep, 5 red lights. And we are underway here in Suzuka. 27 laps await these drivers, and we are racing as Peter Vol on the set of the soft tyres. Immediately going to be putting pressure on Peter Vol, on Lifeboat, as he goes around the outside through turns 1 and 2. He'll have the inside for the first part of the S's, and he gets the move done. Big commitment, big bravery there from Peter Vol to go for a move on the entry into the S's. Fleddy also on a set of softs. A very varied tyre strategy coming from these drivers.
Yeah, definitely is. Majority of the field actually opt in for the softs, I believe. Well, there's 7 people on the softs, 3 people on the mediums, and actually it's kind of split between the softs and the hards. As you see Miguel getting past by... Well, actually, he's got past Cool and he's trying to get... Jeez.
Yeah, sorry to cut in there. The championship leaders were battling out there, King and Aguado, as King goes off track. Was that contact in the back?
Owen has lost part of his front wing. He's lost his front right end plate after collision with King in the back.
That is not good. We've got a Soapbox going for a move on Owen, as you mentioned, with the front wing damage. Clue getting through as well. These guys need to be careful, as the Ferrari is going to be compromised, and needs to make sure that he can get into the pits safely. He's going to have to let everyone go if he's going to dive into the pits, and yeah, he does let everyone go, but he can't make the pit lane.
Oh no.
As Campara and Janel trade positions, as Campara up into P6, Janel back down to P7. Peter Vol into the race lead, gets through on Daniel, and on the soft tyres, he really needs to get away now. Fleddy into P3 is trying to charge his way through as well. This is working out great for Peter Vol and Fleddy, using those soft tyres to absolute perfection as they try to carve their way through the field and get themselves into a bit of fresh air to push into. Peter Vol 0.8 of a second clear now of Daniel in P2.
Yeah, well, I saw the predicted strategy.
Oh,
Come
Aguado
on.
sends it down the inside of Yano, going into the hairpin there. There's very few overtaking opportunities around this track, but that is definitely one of them. Aguado there, showing a absolute dive and a half to get the move done on Yano, and fair play to Yano for realising he was there and leaving the room, because that could have got very messy.
Yeah, definitely could. And like I was saying before, with the predictive strategies that I saw, people starting on the softs, you can do a one stop, well, no, two stops, sorry, soft, medium, medium. If you're starting on the medium or the hards, you can go to, well, the other tyre
Soapbox
for a
and
one stop. So
Clue.
it's going to be interesting.
Big battle for P11 now for the Casio Triangle, Soapbox and Clue, as it looks like Fleddy has managed to get back through on those soft tyres. He managed to get through on Daniel, so Fleddy now up into P2. Peter Vull, 1.5 seconds clear, and it looks like, unless Fleddy's going to be able to go, as Owen has come into the pits and retired from the session. Obviously the Ferrari not entirely happy with the way his race has gone, and Thomas also retiring from the session. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure if Thomas was a reserve. I didn't see him on
I don't know.
the attendance form, so it's unfortunate. If he is a reserve, I do apologise, but yeah, I mean he's out of the session now, but. Looks like Fleddy has the pace to catch up to Peter Vull here, but he is bringing
Ooh.
Daniel along for the tow as Campara all over the back of Aiden for P5.
Tactician and Miguel right at the back of the field, trading places through the hairpin. Miguel absolutely sent it up the inside of Tactician. Tactician then tried to go for the switchback, but Miguel is firmly ahead, and he's closing up to the back of Luke and Nick. As I've just seen, Camparu's going down the inside of Aiden. Aiden does back off, being sensible, but yeah, it does look like he's got a little bit more straight line speed as Camparu goes really deep. Aiden goes for the switchback, but has to slow down too much.
Yeah, but going
So
deep like
still
that,
fifth and sixth.
yeah, but going deep like that, it is going to compromise Camparo slightly on the run down in towards turn one. But fortunately, he has just enough straight line speed to stay ahead. Aguado now literally pushing Aiden through turn two as he is all over the back. Yano and King. It is like an absolute train going on for the S's right now between these five drivers. All of them at one point were only about a tenth off each other. As Camparo is now trying to use those soft tyres to pull away. Aguado now is trying to get the move done on Aiden. He's got to try and get through up into P6 and use those soft tyres while he still has the grip, but he just can't get the move done. Oh, what traction coming out of the second Degner, and yet Aiden's going to back up, but is that going to leave him under pressure from Yano, who has to look down the inside?
Oh
Contact between the
no!
pair, and honestly I think Yano has to take responsibility for that one. You can't send it and back out. You have to make your mind up. You can't go for a half-hearted lunge into the hairpin.
Yeah, definitely can't, because when you're making a dive like that, you just got to be careful that the person you're trying to dive is aware that you are there. But I think now is the point where the soft tyres are maybe starting to feel it a little bit, because Daniel and Lifeboat are really keeping up with Fleddy and Peter Vol now.
Yeah, possibly, as Peter Vull has been caught up by Freddy, and Peter Vull has used quite a lot of VRS as well. I've only just noticed Peter Vull using a tremendous amount of VRS as Aguado gets through on Compara for P5 in the background, but we're going to be keeping an eye on the gap between Aguado and Lifeboat, because this will be very telling to see if the soft tyres have gone or whether Daniel and Lifeboat are just doing enough to make sure they can stay with these guys.
You know, at least for Fleddy it looks like there might be, because Daniel is absolutely all over his gearbox. He's actually improving his first sector time, is Daniel, but it did get all over the exit curve there at Degner too. And it looks like from Aguado it's actually grown by, well, at least half a tenth to the back of Lifeboat. So not really sure what to make out of if the softs are dropping off or not, but just going to keep an eye on this battle for the lead as I'm going back to Tactician. He's getting right all over the back of Miguel here for the battle for P12.
Yeah, of course, tactician on the set of the medium compound tyres. This will be the moment where the mediums will become the better tyre. Obviously, we've got to keep an eye on King. He's currently down in P7, P9 in stretch, and of course P13 tactician. Of course, there are three
Oh,
separate trains going on.
tactician. Tactician tried to hang it round the outside of Miguel going through the first part of the Casio triangle, but just got squeezed out of room, didn't really make the apex because of Miguel on the inside. So he had to back out of the move, but it was great defending there from Miguel. And that's forced Aiden back into the mix, only 2 tenths behind Tactician.
Yeah, of course, and in the meantime, obviously, Freddy able to overtake Peter Vol with DRS down in towards turn 1. Daniel's over the back of him. We just saw King go for an overtake on Campara as well. So him on his medium compound tyres coming into play as Janels managed to get through as well. Where's that come from? Surely that wasn't through Dunlop Curve. I hope we haven't missed an overtake through Dunlop Curve. But it looks like Yano possibly has managed to make that overtake there. Either that or he's gone deep into the first Decna, and Yano's been able to make that move stick. Obviously, going it back up now towards the front. Daniel, absolutely all over the back of the Aston Martin of Peter Vol. We are on lap 6 of 27. It is Fleddy leads the way thus far, but Peter Vol under serious pressure for that P2 from the Mercedes of Daniel right now. As we head through 130 yard, Daniel not getting the best of runs through there. And it looks like both of them were using quite a bit of ERS for that entire section to try and get this move done. But Peter Vol doesn't have the ERS to match up to Daniel. And Daniel's going to use his ERS. Is he going to have the straight line speed? Oh, gee, it could be free wide into turn 1. Surely not. And it looks like Peter Vol's got back through, but Fleddy hung out to dry. Little bit of contact there between Daniel and Peter Vol as Daniel goes into the back of the Aston Martin through turn 2. But fortunately, all the cars are facing the right direction still. And there's no spinners at the front, thankfully. But yeah, the absolute top end speed that we just saw from Peter Vol and Daniel with DRS to just cruise past Fleddy there. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that straight line speed is unbelievable. And all this battling, you'd think we'd lose time. Well, no. From the last time we saw the gap from Lifeboat to Aguado, it was about 1.6, 1.7 seconds. Now it's at about 2 seconds. Well, 1.8 now, so about a tenth or two gained, even from battling. So that's quite telling on Aguado's point.
Yeah, but what you got to remember as well is that these guys are going for the overtakes on the DRS straight, not really in tricky parts where you're going to lose much time. And of course, with Lifeboat being at the back of us, he just has DRS, so he's going to naturally pull away from Aguado anyway. But now let's look at the race lead, because we could be seeing a change for the lead. And in fact, Daniel there going a little bit deep through the Casio triangle. That's going to open things up now for Fleddy. Fleddy, will he be on his ERS?
Straight line speed.
But look
the
at
straight line
this.
Speed. He is using ERS. He was using
can't
his
get
ERS.
It done. Peter Vol having the straight line speed to hold off Daniel there in towards turn 1. And these guys remain as they were. King is pushing onto the back of Aguado. Remember, he is on a medium compound tyre, so they are going to be better than those soft tyres right now. But in terms of the life difference, we're not too far away before the mediums become the second best tyre.
Yeah, definitely. And just, you think that the softs won't really last too long around here. You could get away with doing 2 10-lap stints of mediums from here, unless they want to try and take the softs as long as they can to do a hard stint. I mean, I wouldn't blame them.
That's going to be the thing. Of course, according to the race strategy at the start, it was possible to do a soft medium. So it's possible, but with these guys, the thing is obviously these guys are pushing lap in, lap out, so they're taking more out of their tyres than the game would anticipate. So it's going to be more difficult for them to obviously take the tyres that distance as King gets onto the back of Aguado, but not making the move. But he surely will down the pit straight, back up towards the front. Daniel does not make the mistake through the Casio triangle this time around. He's on his ERS. He is burning. Stretch has gone down the order, and I think he's just completely gone off. And no, he's into the pit lane along with Aguado and Clue.
Oh,
It's a double stack.
Oh, no.
Sorry, double stack for the Williams.
Stretch has just picked himself up a 5-second penalty. Luke and Nick has retired in the pit lane and he's left the session. But Stretch with a 5-second penalty is not good news for him, as, yeah, it looks like everyone who started on the softs, Cool, Stretch and Aguado, all gone on to the hard tyres, so they're going to plan to take these to the end. Whereas the hard tyre runners in Daniel, Lifeboat, Yanil, Soapbox, Aiden and Miguel, they're going to be looking to potentially go all the way to the softs for the end.
Well, this is going to be the interesting thing with the strategy now.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the soft tyres, we're not too far away from the pit stops for the softs. And it shouldn't be too much longer before we get the medium runners in. These guys on the hard, so Daniel Lifeboat, especially, remember, there's only a 1.7 gap between, 1.6 now, between Lifeboat and King. King will be pitting before the two hard runners up ahead as Camparo gets through on Yanel for P6, so it must be a mistake there from the Alfa Romeo. The issue is going to be with the undercut around here, as look at this, Fleddy and Lifeboat there battling through the Casio triangle. Fleddy just about holding off, and neither of them coming into the pits, but Peter Vol is into the pits. Let's see what kind of space Peter Vol is going to come into, as it looks like now Lifeboat is going to cruise past the Red Bull car and up into P3 he'll go.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on where Aguado will be compared to Campura and Peter Vol. Of course, Peter Vol was in provisional P2. He's just coming down the pit lane now as Peter is coming out and Campura's just coming out, but Aguado's got ahead of Campura. It's only about 1.5 seconds, nearly 2 seconds behind Peter Vol. So undercut working nicely there for Aguado, and he's got a lot fresher tyres, so he's got to really put them to use and try and catch up to Peter Vol here.
Oh, Lifeboat!
I'm seeing Tactician.
Lifeboat's gone. Lifeboat has lost the car somewhere. I'm not sure if there was contact or anything, but Lifeboat dropping down the order down into P9 now. What a race it could have been for the AlphaTauri. Obviously, he's had such amazing support in the chat in the previous races. Of course, he's a fan favourite here, but having a big issue, and yet it looks like wing damage on that AlphaTauri. So I'm guessing maybe potential contact with Fleddy, maybe a bit of wheel to wheel and going off into the wall. We're not entirely sure on that, but yep, Lifeboat there falling down the order, as I believe we'll be seeing Fleddy coming into the pits relatively soon. In fact, he's staying out. King's in before Fleddy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe he's going to try and take the soft or the medium tyres. He's going to get to a point where he can go soft medium, which for everyone else who's on the hard tyres or switching to the hards, apart from the current hard runners, it's going to be interesting. But just on board with Aguado now, as he gets a move done on Peter Vol, I have a few people coming into the pits. We had King and Lifeboat has actually gone to the mediums, so he's going to try and take the mediums to the end.
Yeah, honestly, Lifeboat didn't have much alternative in what tyres he could go on. Of course, he started on the hard compound tyres. Cannot pit onto another set of hards. One, because he doesn't have another set available to him, and two, he has to use two different types of compounds. So obviously going on to the medium tyres is the only option that the Lifeboat has to him, but a long way to go in this race. Lap 11 of 27. Daniel leads by 1.5 seconds to Fleddy in P2. Soapbox now up into P3 with Tactician up into P4. Remember, he had a great result last time out in Austria, and he looks like he's going to be trying to replicate that here tonight. Remember, he is on the medium, so those tyres are approaching the end of their usable life. But Soapbox again a bit wayward through the Casio triangle as Fleddy's into the pits, and this is going to be opportunity for Tactician now. He's on his ERS, he's open DRS, he's going to cruise past the Alpine. His teammates not going to be close enough to join him, but Tactician up into P2 now.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where Aguado comes out because Fleddy came in as a P2 and it looks like Aguado is actually going to get past. But then Peter Vol just zooms past Aguado. Peter Vol is assumed what is a net P2 at the moment. It could be
Honestly,
a P1.
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, this is for net P1. Because remember, Daniel didn't have that much of a gap on these guys in behind. I think Peter Vol was actually just floating around that 1 second. So the undercut is going to be working out for these guys compared to Daniel. The question is, will Daniel box this lap as King has managed to get through on Fleddy? And that is definitely through the Dagner curve, and I'm upset because I really wanted to see a move through the Dagner curves, but I keep missing them, which is unfortunate. But King up into P9 now. Fleddy on those medium tyres needs to get him switched on ASAP because Campara is right there ready to pounce in the Ferrari.
Yeah, it really is. And just looking back at this battle, yeah, it's a little bit of a train forming behind King at the moment. Currently three drivers within a second of each other, and Yanel decides to pit now, so he's going to be going to the mediums to the end. We've still got 5 people who are yet to pit in this race, and it's going to be interesting to see where the likes of Daniel come out, as that's Miguel picking up a 3-second time penalty for track limits.
Yep, track limit penalty there for Miguel. Obviously a 5-second speeding penalty for Stretch. The only 2 penalties that we have seen so far in this race for the drivers out there. King has been re-overtaken by Fleddy, and on those medium tyres, fresh medium tyres, he should have the pace to pull away. He's got 3 seconds to Aguado and Peter Vol up the road from him. So he really does need to get his foot to the floor and get after these guys. And it looks like he is hearing the voice of which is saying these things, and it looks like he's getting the job done now with 2.7 seconds.
Yeah, Fleddy's really got to start pushing to try and catch up to Aguado, as he's getting within 4 tenths of Peter Vol ahead. And yeah, this is crucial times for Peter Vol and Aguado, because they've just, even though they're part of different teams, they've sort of just got to kind of work together, not really battling so much, so they can keep Fleddy behind. But Fleddy being on these much fresher tyres, as we've just seen Aiden and Soapbox come into the pits. I believe that's going to be medium tyres for both drivers. It is. So see where these come out. They're going to be miles behind Peter Vol and Aguado. Yeah, Fleddy with the fastest lap as well, so he's really pushing on. He gained about, what is that, 6 tenths?
I gained a second in that lap.
Yeah,
he was 3 seconds off the back.
So he's really pushing on, trying to catch up, and King is right there with him, as well as Campora. He's right on the back of King. So it's going to be interesting to see how Fleddy comes into this battle for the race lead and ultimately the win.
Well, here's my my thought process right now. I mean, Daniel, he stayed out a bit longer than the other guys, so when he comes into the pits, unless a SC or a virtual safety car comes out to help Daniel, I think he is going to concede the race lead to Peter Vol, essentially. I believe Aguado will also jump him. Fleddy should jump him as well. The interesting thing is whether or not he's going to come out ahead of King and Campara. Because remember, Fleddy came to the pits. He was 1.5 seconds off the back of Daniel when he came into the pits. And he came out right into the mix with King and Campara. And we're going to find out now. Daniel in the pit lane. Tactician in the pit lane. Miguel is backing up slightly so he doesn't get the double stack effect coming into the pits as well. So all the drivers now have made their pit stops. Peter Vol coming through the Casio triangle. He's going to be taking the race lead from Daniel. That is 100% guarantee as we come down the main straight. Fleddy will also jump Daniel as well, as Daniel is going to come out the pit lane. He's going to come out, well done Yoda. He's going to come out behind Stretch, and Stretch is going to overtake him. He's come out in P7. Daniel, well done Yoda. He stayed out way too long on those hard tyres, but he is on fresh mediums, and he is going to be able to push now to the end.
quite an interesting strategy goal here for Tactician, because he's gone on to the soft tyres. So, not sure if they'll get to the end unless he's done some practice and they're able to. They're going to be pretty dead by the end of the stint, but he's going to have a good few laps where he can maybe make up a couple of positions here.
Yep, and speaking of making up a couple of positions, we do have Aguado all over the back of Peter Vol. Fleddy has now joined this battle. King is closing in as well, so is Campara. There's a 2-second gap back to Stretch, and you got Daniel trying to make a move on Stretch into Spoon Curve, not around the outside, surely not. In fact, he's going to be well ahead going into the braking zone. Daniel now up in the P6, he really needs to get a move on. 2 seconds up the rope, but the thing is, it's a DRS train, and Fleddy on those mediums could be in a good spot, but look how much ERS he has, and compared to the other two drivers in front of him, Fleddy could get ahead, but how is he going to stay ahead with that little ERS?
Oh, a little bit of a rear end snap there from Aguado. But yeah, the ERS situation, Aguado's firmly in a driving position on that front. I don't think he's going to go for a move here. He's going to wait it out. So he's just waiting it out, waiting for the right moment, and ultimately building up his ERS even more. Whereas Fleddy's on 14% and Peter Vol's hovering around 50. So
Yeah.
even though Fleddy's got the tyre advantage at the moment, he's really got the disadvantage on the ERS front.
Yep, absolutely. So for Fleddy right now, it's all about can he save up enough ERS, and will he have the grip on his tyres to be able to not only get past these guys but also be able to pull away. Question in the chat from Lord Vader asking how are you guys doing? We are doing fantastic. A 5-way battle for the win, about to be a 6-way battle for the win, as Daniel is now floating around that 1 second window on Campara. So 6 drivers all within a chance of taking victory here in Suzuka. Peter Vol currently leading the way with Aguado in P2, Fleddy in P3, King in P4 with Campara in P5, Daniel now in P6. In this train, Stretch picks himself up a 3-second time penalty under pressure from both of the Alfa Romeos in behind of Yanel and Tactician. Soapbox still in there as well inside the top 10.
Yeah, he's getting very close to the DRS detection. I'm not sure if he did get it, did Daniel, but yeah, Campara's really bad.
And Aguado's going to go for the move now down the inside. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair of them as Fleddy now needs to navigate this well, but Aguado does make the move on Peter Vol. He gets into the race lead. He needed to make that move right there and then, because Fleddy was not going to wait around for Aguado all day. Fleddy was trying to make a move. Aguado saw that his opportunity was then and there. And now Aguado, with 80% ERS at his disposal, should have the ability to pull away from Peter Vol. He cannot allow Peter Vol to stay within DRS. He needs to go. He needs to get away from these guys ASAP. Peter Vol on 43% ERS. He has Fleddy. Daniel down the inside of Campara. Sends it down the inside into the hairpin. And Daniel now up into P5, not wasting any time on those medium tyres. He's trying to make moves. He's trying to win this race. Meanwhile, he's trying to get onto the back of King now for P4. The Mercedes has come alive here. Lap 17 at Suzuka. Daniel trying to get his way up to the top step of the podium. He can see P1 in front of him. The question is he going to be able to make these moves done in time before the end of the race? As he closes right up to the back of King, is he going to have a look down the inside into the Casio Triangle? He's going to send it down the inside into the Casio Triangle. He will at the inside. He'll turn to the outside for the second part of the chicane.
Oh.
They're going to be side by side now, coming for the final corner. King will have the traction on the outside, but both of them will have DRS, and there's going to be a drag race down in towards turn number 1. Look at that, 3 wide up the front with Peter Vol getting back through on Aguado. Once again, Fleddy wasn't able to get through, but Daniel does get through on King. Up into P4 goes the Mercedes now.
Yeah, this is absolutely thrilling racing, and Campura is still sticking on the back of these front 5, although his ERS isn't looking pretty, especially with Fleddy as well. His isn't looking too good, but Daniel is practically pushing him through. He's practically pushing him into the first Degner. He's really starting to get aggressive here. Will he go for another move? I think he's going to be more careful about this. Takes more of an inside line, but Fleddy ultimately gets the better traction out of the hairpin. So, still, the top 6 are separated by 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, it is incredibly close at the front, and look who's just floating outside the DRS range. Janil is almost within a second of Campara here.
It's nearly an 11 car train.
Oh, and here goes Daniel on Fleddy. He's going to have to run in towards 130R. He'll have the inside. Will he have the superior line through, as Fleddy is going to be having to settle down for P3, as Daniel had a little peek down the inside into the Casio triangle. Doesn't want to commit to it though, and now coming out of the Casio triangle, what will the Mercedes driver do? He's been making overtake after overtake after overtake and getting them done smooth and efficiently, as Aguado now with DRS closing onto the back of Peter Vol, not wanting to go for a move thus far. And Aguado's going to stay in P2. Peter Vol's going to maintain the race lead. Daniel now up into the final podium position on those mediums. He is absolutely flying. I wouldn't be mistaken if we see another overtake into the hairpin, because Daniel right now looks racy. He looks like he's going to be trying to get this win, and is a DRS train all the way down to P9. Soapbox up to Peter Vol is all in this train. There's a chance of 9 drivers possibly being able to take the race win.
He's going to go for it.
He's going to send it down the inside. Oh. Surely no, he's going to think better of it, and he's actually pushing Aguado through the hairpin. That's how much grip Daniel has compared to the Williams ahead of him, as Aguado now needs to use his DRS. He needs to get past Peter Vol now on the next DRS straight, because he has to get away. He cannot afford to be sat here battling anymore. He should have used his DRS to pull away earlier on when he got through on Peter Vol, and he uses a little dab of it now on the exit of Spoon. But it's hard to keep up. There's so much to talk about as Daniel is coming in. Aguado looking down the inside in the 130 yard. Surely not. Contact. They both wiped each other out. Oh my God. It absolutely had to happen at some point. There was going to be something controversial in this race. Aguado looking down the inside of Peter Vol into 130R, 2 into 1. It didn't work out. Tactician through on Aguado now, and could have a look at Peter Vol as well, but in fact he's not going to. Stretch into the pits, retires from the session with his penalty accumulation, and we are on lap 20 of 27. The race leader is now Fleddy. Fleddy has gotten through on Daniel once again, and ladies and gentlemen, it is all kicked off here on lap 20.
Yeah, that was incredible. Although, yes, Aguado did go for an adventurous move there. It was just very, very risky to go for the inside line. We saw it, they worked out between Fleddy and Daniel, but I'd say it's more 50-50 to be honest, but Peter Vol is starting to actually lose a little bit of ground to the back of Janel, although he is using his ERS to close the gap back up. But both of them, Peter Vol and Aguado, find themselves in the middle of a DRS train, which is going to be horrendous for those two. Once battling for the race lead, and now they're battling for, well, minimal points really.
Yeah, absolutely. At one point they were battling for the race lead, and unfortunately they were unable to go through 130R and keep it together through there. And honestly, as we're looking at it right now, we could be looking at a new race winner in the season, because Fleddy and Daniel both haven't secured a win, as Daniel gets through on Fleddy. Fleddy's not going to fight it. He's going to wait for DRS to come back through on Daniel on the following lap. King is going to be right there with him as well, and King currently P2 in the championship. He's just seen his championship rival in Aguado take a big tumble down the order, and Aguado has a lot of guys to get through. The first of that is obviously Tactician on those soft tyres. Those soft tyres we saw when Fleddy was on him earlier in the race did start to go off around this point, so Tactician could eventually fall outside of the points paying positions. But as it currently stands, both of the guys on the mediums are doing an incredible job. Daniel actually pulling that 1 second away. Remember, he does have 3 lap fresher medium tyres, so he is trying to pull away, and he is getting away. absolutely fantastically from the Mercedes driver. The Red Bull has been left in the dust, and now he has... Oh, Daniel with a 3-second
no.
time penalty. It swung once again. The pendulum swings through Suzuka. We think it's going one way. It's not going that way. It's going a completely different way. Daniel now with a 3-second time penalty. That could cost him the podium. All of a sudden, King goes from a possible podium position to a possible race win as he has to peek down the inside of the Casio triangle. Big lock-up snap of the rear there for King, but he's managed to keep it together, but that might just compromise him, so he can't get this overtake on Fleddy. We are going to find out as we run down into turn one. Look at the overspeed. Look at the overspeed from King, and it is absolutely biblical as he gets through into the net race lead now. And with Daniel having that 3-second time penalty, it is absolutely now elbows out trying to get this win between these guys at the front.
Yeah, it really is. And Aguado's just falling back even further. He's fallen behind Tactician now. So P8 is Aguado. And that 3-second time penalty, we'll see Daniel drop down off the podium. He'll drop down into 4th. So with the penalty, it will be King in 1st, Fleddy in 2nd, and Compura in 3rd.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it is going at the moment. Clue picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's currently down in P12. That obviously hinders his possibility of getting some points here today. But of course, he's 1.8 off the back of Miguel, and Miguel's 7 seconds off the back of Aiden in P10. So points were a little bit unlikely, but as it currently stands, King is on for his 2nd race win of the season. We thought it was going to be either Aguado or Peter Vol, but they came together. Daniel is actually pulling away. He's actually got a 2-second gap now. So Daniel responding to that 3-second time penalty. He is pushing. King is a little bit wayward and all over the place, and this is going to allow Fleddy to come back through. And Fleddy using DRS, but he's not using his DRS. But Camparo is. Is Camparo going to make it free wide into turn 1? He's going to try to go for the move on Fleddy regardless. Down the inside goes Campara. Campara getting the move down. Peter Vull in the background getting the move down. Tactician side by side with his teammate. Into the S's goes the Alfa Romeo side by side. The teammates do battle here in Suzuka. And it's Tactician who comes out on top of his teammate on lap 23 or 27. Tactician holds on to P6. But look at that. Aguado now trying to force his way around the outside of Dunlop curve. It has all gone a bit spicy in the closing stages of this race. As Aguado getting racy on the back of Janel here for P7. Daniel has managed to build out a 2.7 second gap to King. Fleddy has dropped down, obviously being overtaken by Campara into turn 1. So Fleddy, oh no, is Aguado trying to get his way through on Janel. Up into P7 goes the Williams man, the championship leader, into P7. And look at Soapbox now. He's down the inside into the second part of Spoon onto that inside curve. That's going to compromise him, as now Aiden is going to try and go for an overtake. It is overtake central here in the closing stages of Suzuka. Lap 23 or 27. I need to catch my breath.
Look at Daniel. Daniel's broken the 3-second mark, so now he's after getting a 3-second penalty, he was just over a second.
Oh, King's out!
King's
out of the race. Safety car! Oh my God!
It's gonna come in next lap. It's going to come in at the end of this lap.
Just when you thought this race couldn't add any more spice to it, it has just been turned on top of his head. My God, safety car.
Daniel's made sure that he's got out ahead of the safety car. He would have been better off making sure that the safety car caught him, because now it's going to be an extra lap.
Well,
if he had just let himself be caught by the safety car, he could have come in at the end of this lap.
I mean, I have no words for the end of this race. It is absolutely exploded, the end of this race. So many overtaking opportunities, so many overtakes happening. Absolute drama. And honestly, I mean, you don't get drama like this on a Monday night. Unless, well, actually, to be honest, I mean, I don't want to admit to watching the soaps now on Monday night, but that's the only kind of drama that I've seen on a Monday night. But yeah, absolute drama here in Suzuka. Daniel in the race lead, but has a 3-second time penalty now. So there's going to be little to no chance of securing the race win, as Campara now holds all the cards in his hand as he's in the net race lead. Fleddy is right there in a net P2. Peter Voll managed to recover.
Daniel's trying to pull as much. He's sorry to cut you off, but he's trying to pull as much as a gap. I think he might be trying to pit.
Yeah, I think he is as well.
He is.
Yep.
He's into the pit.
Will anyone else pit? That's the question.
Campara stays out.
Fleddy stays out.
Peter Voll's in. Tactician's out. Aguado's out. Janel's out. Sobox and Aiden are in. Miguel's in. So it's a mixture, but Daniel, he's just risking it all now, really. He's already got the penalty, so he might as well just go all out. But everyone else in the top 5 is going to be over 10 laps on their tyres. So it might work out for Daniel.
Okay,
although
so guys, let me just bring this up. So Campara has yet to get a top 10 finish this season. He is currently in the net race lead. Well, he is actually in the race lead now. Campara has yet to get points this season, so he's on for his first points this season, and what a way to get with a win. Fleddy has yet to see a top step of the podium. He has managed to get two podium finishes before. Round 3 at Silverstone, he finished second. Round 4 at Bahrain, he finished third. We got Tactician with his first podium finish last time out in Austria. He is on course for another podium finish. The championship leader, Aguado, in P4, and he is currently gaining points on his nearest rival, which of course is King, who is out of this race. He's currently on course for a good result. We got Janel. Janel's best result this season is a P3 in Bahrain, and it's absolutely incredible with everything that is going on thus far. And then of course we've got the fresh compound tyres that are on. Safety car is in this lap, but Daniel has a 3-second time penalty. He's got fresh sauce. Can he get his way through and potentially take a win? Can Peter Voll get his way through? We are going to find out. It is lap 25 or 27. We're going to have 2 laps of racing. No DRS to help these guys. It's all going to be about the top end speed, and considering how Fleddy has been caught napping with DRS, does Fleddy even have the straight line speed to compete here? That's going to be the question. But Campara is going to get us back underway here as we cross the line to begin the penultimate lap here on lap 26. Campara leads the way. Fleddy in second. Tactician in third, getting very close to the back of Fleddy, but he's not going to be close enough. And on those soft tyres, he is going to start to fall away from these two.
Oh, Daniel through turn 2 absolutely sent it down the inside of Janel. He's not playing around here.
He's trying to get the move done in the S's on Aguado. This is bold and brave stuff. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Daniel. He's using those fresh soft tyres to absolute perfection. He cannot waste time. He is trying to get through on these guys, and he's all over the back of Tactician now. Will Daniel take the race win out on track as he gets a good run? He hits the back of Tactician. Coming on the exit of the second deck now. He's going around the outside now for the hairpin. He's going to have the fresher tyres, the better grip. And look at Aguado there. Switch back on the inside. Aguado now and Tactician side by side as well for P4. Daniel is up in the P3. Aguado and Tactician duel in battle, but Tactician holds off Aguado there. Peter Voll on the back of these guys as well. But all eyes on Daniel as he gets a fantastic run on Fleddy coming out of Spoon. Daniel back up into P2. Surely is too little, too late for Daniel. But he is going to throw absolutely everything, including the kitchen sink. Aguado, Peter Voll side by side through 130 yard again, and this time they make it through. But Peter Voll sends it down the inside of Tactician. This is not going to work out well as they still remain side by side coming through the exit. And look at Janel's in the mix. Janel trying to get himself up the order. Daniel with a new fastest lap. And look at Peter Voll trying to force his way through a gap that's not there down the inside as we go into turn 1. Janel holds the inside line. Aguado goes off track as Peter Voll around the outside of Tactician. Absolutely incredible stuff. Peter Voll now up into P4 and he can begin his hand. Meanwhile, Daniel is into the race lead. Surely Daniel cannot pull.
Oh, Aguado's out.
Oh my God, contact at the back, soapbox and Aguado out of the session. And absolutely, absolute carnage happening here at
He
the
might be
end with the
going for a
safety car.
podium. Daniel has already pulled out a 1.3 second gap
He's going for
to
the race win.
Campora. He can get a podium here, but it needs to
Surely
find
not.
a second.
Surely not.
He needs
Surely
to
not.
find a second here to get a podium.
I'm just saying, surely not. I mean, the gap is 1.8. How much does he gain through Spoon? We have to see this. 1.9.
2 tenths.
And oh my God, it could be on. It could be on. Daniel, if he gets a blistering run
no,
through
it's
the
not.
final
He's
chicane,
out
there's
of
Peter Vol.
VRS now.
Peter Vol looking at the inside of Fleddy into 130R. And oh my God, Peter Vol could be making a move at the end into the Casio triangle. Around the outside goes Peter Vol. He's going to try and make the stick. Peter Vol does get it done. Fleddy through. Fleddy around the outside. Oh my God, this is incredible stuff as Peter Vol will come through, takes victory ahead of Fleddy. And Daniel, 3 tenths was the gap. And Camparo misses out by 3 thousandths of a second on podium. Oh my God, what an end to that race. I am flabbergasted. I am astonished by what we have seen at the end of that race. Absolute bedlam at the end for the final 10 laps. Tactician guest driver of the day. And honestly, there's so many nominations for driver of the day. It's going to be difficult to even think of having a driver of the day. Ghost Gamer in the chat saying, "Bro cooked." Bro did cook. That is 100%. 100%. But it is that man, Peter Vol, taking victory ahead of Fleddy. That overtake through the Casio triangle created so much drama at the end. For a second, I thought that that Daniel had a chance of getting the win because these guys were battling for effectively trying to jump him on the penalties, and fortunately they were just able to cross the line ahead, but Daniel almost won it at the end. It would have been absolutely incredible. As we got a GG Daniel in the chat, and Daniel, I mean, fair play to him. He did throw absolutely everything at trying to win that race, but we'll run you through the order. Look at that gap between first and second. Less than half a tenth between them. But Peter Vol takes victory ahead of Fleddy in second place. Daniel comes home in P3 with Campara in P4. Tactician in P5, a good result there from him. Yanel in P6 with Clue, a good result in P7. Lifeboat in P8 with the fastest lap. 9th goes to Aiden and Miguel rounding out the top 10. Outside of the top 10 is, of course, Soapbox and our non-finishers, our DNFers, the championship leader Aguado, his nearest rival King, Stretch, Luke and Nick, WOR Thomas, and ET8 Owen. My God, I need a lie down and a big glass of water after that race. Jeez, absolute carnage throughout that entire thing, and that is what we like to see. Fantastic overtaking going on in the final 10 laps. Great battling, and that is what PSGL is all about.
Yeah, that run to the line, of course, that move ultimately by Peter Vol could have cost all 3 of them a chance at a race win, but fortunately for himself, he did manage to come out in P1 with Fleddy getting a P2 by, like you said, under half a tenth, and Daniel somehow getting on the podium after a 3-second penalty. That was incredible.
Daniel on the podium, right, by 3 thousandths of a second.
Yeah.
3 thousandths of a second there between Daniel and Campara at the end. So that overtake at the end from Peter Vol getting through on Campara into the Casio triangle, that actually cost Campara a podium at the end. But my God, what a race that we just had here at Suzuka. Definitely, in my opinion, race of the season so far. But next week, we will be going racing to Imola for round number 7. A very different circuit indeed. Different prospects, but the curbs just as lethal. So next week, we will be going racing at Imola. But of course, before we wrap things up, massive shout out to our sponsors of GT Omega. Remember, if you do go to the GT Omega site, make sure you use code PSGL at the checkout for a lovely little discount. And Quinn, I'm going to push you. Driver of the day.
I'm stuck between two at the moment, but I'm actually going to say Peter Vol. Just
Honestly,
purely because it's his first race win. It's his first race in a while, and he managed to get, well, a race win. So that's really put himself up the driver's standing. So yeah, I'm going to have to say Peter Vol.
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I can't really argue with that. Peter Vol with that absolutely. That's his first points of the season as well. I just want to point out. That is both Peter Vol and Campara's first points of the season. Obviously, the first points for Clue as well. So, yep, 3 drivers getting points on for the first time this season. One getting the race win in Peter Vol, a P4 for Capara, and obviously a P7 for Clue in the end. So 3 new points finishers. Because I want to be a little bit different to you, I honestly, I'm going to give it to Daniel. Even though he had that 3-second time penalty, I'm going to give it to Daniel just because of the entertainment he gave us at the end, making the overtakes happen when he was on the mediums, pitting, putting on a set of softs, and then coming back through the field, fighting tooth and nail to try and get himself a possible race win, even with that time penalty. And he almost pulled it off. 3 tenths was the difference between a race win and P3 in the end for Daniel. But like, I have no words. I mean, Peter Vol's in the chat and absolutely cheering like that was an incredible race. And yeah, that is of course where we are gonna wrap things up here tonight. Massive congratulations to Peter Vol on his race win. A incredible performance from him. As he says in the chat, that was a mega last lap, mate. That was a mega last 10 laps at the end there. But yeah, that is going to bring an end to tonight. Obviously, next week we will go racing at Imola for round number 7. So make sure you guys tune back in next week for more action here in PSGL F6. I've been Mike. He's been Quinn. And we'll catch you for round number 7 next week at Imola. Until then, goodbye.
See you.